Butcher with Note Boom, the law firm. Thank you for being with us tonight. Let's first talk about the most recent case, Dunbar. Texas law requires that any reasonable suspicion of child abuse be reported to authorities. The superintendent told the Star-Telegram the district has reviewed the pinching incident. An outside investigator has now apparently been brought in, but neither Child Protective Services nor police are expected to be involved in the investigation. Is that legal?
Well, it's likely going to depend on whether or not the conduct at issue rises to the level of abuse within the meaning of the reporting statute. It's certainly appropriate for the school to conduct its own investigation. We would hope and expect that they would. But whether or not they should have reported it to the state by now, that depends on whether or not there was a reasonable suspicion of abuse.
Legal aside, is that responsible?
I think we would all expect school administrators and teachers to err on the side of caution. We would like for them to report things if there's any suspicion.
So legally, do parents, students have any recourse against the Fort Worth ISD?
Unfortunately, any recourse against the school district itself is very minimal. Of course, the principal, coaches, teachers can be held accountable individually. But because a school district is a government entity, the legislature has seen fit to give them extraordinary protection from liability.
We're seeing so many of these cases now. I just named, I don't know how many, a dozen or whatever, and we see them all over the country. What do you think's going on? Is there an increase in cases, or is there just more reporting?
Well, there's nothing new but the history we don't know, and I think these things have been going on for a long time. I like to think that it's more a case that there's increased reporting. And one possible explanation for that might be media coverage. Stories like this tend to shed light on instances of abuse and assault, and I think that gives victims a better idea of what their rights are.
Is it also possible that there's an increase because of the internet and everything we can see now?
That's possible, and I don't think there's any way to know for sure. But one thing that is clear is that stories like this, the more exposure that there is, it allows people to realize that they don't have to put up with this type of abuse.
That's right. Thank you very much for coming in. We appreciate it.
Happy
holidays to you.
Appreciate it.
Again, we want to clarify the principal at Dunbar has not been charged with any type of crime. In the other cases, most of the educators are still going through the court system at this point. We're highlighting educators and inappropriate behavior with children, but the bigger picture, of course, is sexual abuse of children. According to the National Center for Victims of Crime, 1 in 4 girls, 1 in 6 boys have been a victim of sexual abuse. 67% of all victims of reported sexual assault were under the age of 18. And most children are abused by someone they know or trust. If you're a victim or know a child who is a victim of any type of child abuse, call a number on your screen that you see right there. It's 1-800-4-A-CHILD.